Hey, Dave here from the Breakfast with Manny podcast, which comes from when my co-host Emmanuel, also known as Manny, and I used to meet regularly for breakfast. When we were discussing the shifting landscape of manhood, mostly by sharing our experiences and our struggles, as well as my coaching courses and my entrepreneurial experience, we realized many men could benefit from discussing these topics. So Breakfast with Manny is going to explore the unseen patterns that sabotage men from realizing their potential, healing, and getting the life, sex, career, and health they want, leading to a healthy masculine life.
It just shows how much you need to transform.
Yeah, sure.
To be happier.
Yeah.
And then the question would be, are you sick? Are there illnesses going on in your life that you're attributing to whatever, the environment or this or that, and maybe from your detachment from yourself?
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. So question for you, we'll switch it over to the men's side a little bit. So we know another thing that's going on a lot, and one of the purposes of Breakfast with Manny is we're trying to break the two words toxic and masculinity apart because they really go together a lot. The other word you hear a ton about is the patriarchy, right? And, unconsciously contributing to the patriarchy. Like I didn't wake up one day and go like, I'm going to be a big part of the patriarchy. And I'm sure there's been actions and things I've done in the past that contributed to that. And for that can't fix that, but I can do something today. And what we can do today is to inspire men to step up. And the one thing we're calling men to be, it's very similar to you, be more conscious, just be more aware. But can you comment a little bit on your take on this whole, a lot of what's going on with this toxic masculinity, patriarchy? And I know you have a story from your workshop that you do with the patriarchy I found fascinating. Could you comment on that too?
Yeah. So you have a lot of things in there.
Yes.
So let me start with which one? They both can be. Let's start with the patriarchy.
Okay.
So what is patriarchy basically, right? It's a world dominated, designed by men for men,
Yep.
to the benefit of men.
Of men, yeah.
Basically, right? Now, this goes, and I'm going to go back, I'm going to keep going back to history, right?
Yeah.
When we industrialized the world, humans, who did it initially? Men. Right?
Yep.
Men were the ones working because women were at home taking care of the family and the kids. So when you create something with men, only men, with division of men, you're going to have a patriarchy. There is no other possibility.
True.
Because you're creating it with the input from the perspective, with the design of a mind of a man or many men, right? And that might have been okay at the beginning of this whole journey. Now the women come into the workplace, but the design is the same.
Right.
And I go back to, for example, countries go through this with the Constitution, right? Mm-hmm. You create a constitution in 1700s, but it so happens that we're in 2023, where we have AI becoming a big threat, and we have all these things going on between men. So is that constitution still valid? Is it in every single part of it, right? Yeah. One would need to go, and then, you do modifications, you adapt the constitution to the new world and the place where we're living and the people and blah, blah, blah. Patriarchy, the preservation of patriarchy is, I'm not reviewing this constitution.
Right.
I'm not changing anything.
Yeah.
First, why would I? If I am, the beneficiary,
sure.
It's like, trust me, if that constitution was designed by women and gave the power, and it would be hard to take it away from us and say, oh no, now we're gonna. So it's it's a consciousness shift
Yeah.
that needs to take place. I'm just explaining a little bit of the model, right? How we came into this model as a woman, but it wasn't designed for us, by us, in hopes of making life better for us. But the problem is today is we bought into the system. And this is my feeling.
Okay.
And I've gotten hit left and right over this comment, but I believe it, and here it goes. We fight patriarchy. We say, it's unjust, and men, and there, you guys are, you're mean, you're horrible, you're controlling everything. You don't want us to win, blah, 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 blah. Yet I go to the corporate, and I did it. And I assume the model. And I say to myself, which I said many times, unless I do it this way, I'm not going to be able to go to the top.
Right.
And I take it, and I become a woman in her masculine energy, enhancing patriarchy. Because I, as a woman, am abiding by the rules, and not only abiding by the rules, I'm using them. I'm operating, doing it with those rules. But then I leave the office or the company, and I go like those fuckers, those men. They're just patriarchy. But then I go back to the office the next day, and I am as badass.
You're playing the game. Yeah.
You are.
I mean,
so what are we playing? What are we talking about?
So I've said this many times. I'm like, I personally thought and think it's obnoxious of me to say it, but I thought women should probably play a different game. Like, this game has been proven to have toxicity built into it. And I what I don't understand is, why are we diminishing feminine leadership characteristics I should back up. It's definitely getting better. You're starting to see more heart-based leadership, but it really hasn't taken off yet, where being more nurturing, being more caring, being more vulnerable, being more loving at work. Because one of the things I always say is, if we don't change the workplace, where we spend 50% or so of our waking hours, how can we change the world, right? So, I made a conscious choice at my company. I hired someone to run it who is very well balanced with her heart space and her head space. But I really resonate with what you're saying. I feel like it's a losing game, and I'm sure it's really controversial for you to say what you said, and I'm sure women don't receive that very. So when you say that in a workshop, initially they're probably pissed off, but do you get somewhere eventually where they're like, oh shit, there is another way?
Yes. And when you feel in your body the difference.
Yeah.
Because since I use acting techniques, and I use all the things that I've learned throughout, the years in the workshop, because one thing is when you know something, and another one is when you know.
Yeah.
Right? I say know.
Every cell in your body.
Knowing with every part of your body and every cell. That's when you really know.
Yeah.
Right? That's
I had a question. Here, because I am 100% with your current description and opinion of what you just said. If I can just play devil's advocate just for a second, for maybe some women listening to this and saying, Nana, I get what you're saying, but if I don't play with the current rules, what else am I doing? Like where am I going to find work? And from what I'm seeing is, the approach that's taking today is, how do I break the system from the inside? How do I work somewhere and then change HR, change the rules, so then it ends up following the ideology that I believe in? So I'm curious on your thoughts there. Is there maybe a different approach? Is there a way? And maybe that comes back to that collaboration you're saying between men and women. But is there a better way maybe for all of us to maybe be more progressive or help each other instead of having, again, that division?
Love that question. And please, both of you, play devil's advocate every time, because I cannot tell you how many times I have grown and learned, because this is an ongoing process for me.
Sure.
I'm still learning and I'm still applying things that I don't know if they're going to work or if they're even right or not, even though, right or wrong is such a subjective thing. So I love it. Please do challenge everything. And this is where this gets complicated. It's not so simple. It's not so black and white in terms of, oh, this is what I do now, and then it's all going to be fine. No, it's not. One of the things that I know for a fact are definitely not going to work is the competition and the fight. When you have men being as they are, nobody can deny that. They are the holders of the positions and the power worldwide in top corporations, in the countries, in top executive positions. It is the truth. When they are at the top and you come with a bat and a hammer or a shotgun trying to fight that fight, it's going to be bloody and it's going to be war. And whoever's more powerful and has more strength, as in any war, is the one that's going to win. So in my opinion, the fight approach, it's not going to work. I'm going to tell you something that I will share it in a talk that I'm preparing, by the way. So you're going to have.
Cool.
I was in my transition, and this is connected to your question. I was in my transition between corporate and acting. So I resigned from Microsoft. I take some time off, but then I start doing consulting because this firm wanted me to work with them. And I said, no, I freelance, okay, but not full time. So I did some consulting, but at the same time, I was already taking my acting classes. So I was like in between worlds, so to speak. I become the sales consultant for a big corporation, a French company that they were operating in Venezuela. And we were working on the whole sales process and CRMs and doing all the, organizing the whole thing. And one day I'm going to a meeting with the VP and the whole sales team. And I look at my wardrobe and I go like, yeah, this dress is cool. Oh yeah, I'm going to wear this. Okay. So I go to my meeting. I walk in the meeting and I'll tell you what I wore. And one of the ladies looks at me and she goes like, where are you going dressed like that?
Nice.
And I kid you not, I had not opened my mouth to say anything when the VP of sales, who was a man, the VP of sales says, do we pay her for how she looks or for what she knows?
No way.
Yes,
Okay,
way.
Manny, this is when I'm just like, I want to turn in my man card when I hear shit like that. That stuff is just so unreal. Okay.
And I went like,
I believe it, sadly.
I had nothing else to say. I just looked at her. I said, I'm coming to a meeting with salespeople.
Yeah.
That's it. So what was I wearing? I wore this colorful 1970s kind of look, like neon colors, like bright colors, with cowboy boots.
Ah, there you go.
And this is 10, 15 years ago. Okay. So if you're a consultant, you do not go dressed like that to a meeting, to a business meeting. Right. And I was like, yeah, why not? And the VP of sale, a man, did that. Now, why am I telling you this story? I didn't need to fight. I didn't need to confront to defend my position as a consultant.
Nope.
He came to my rescue because he understood that what I was bringing was valuable, and he gave me that respect. The way I was dressed was irrelevant in his mind to what I was doing. Now, that is that not all men are like that. I get it. But the thing is, I wasn't confrontational either. I was just doing my work, enjoying what I was doing, going there with a smile, having fun. They knew about my acting, entrepreneurship into acting, and they laugh and we'll tell stories. I didn't hide any part of me.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretended to be someone else. I didn't want to be a badass consultant coming here. So I know that's a long reply to your question, but the way is not fighting. The way is bringing more of the feminine, because bringing more of the feminine will allow us to talk to another man and at a different level where maybe he will hear, maybe he will connect with me. But for sure, if I'm shooting at him, he's going to shoot back.
Well, I always tell people, like, you punch people and what do you expect to get back, right? You're going to get it back. It does not mean you take shit from people. It does not mean you don't have good, healthy boundaries.
Yes.
I think that's critically important. But this actually dovetails into another question I had, which is one of the most important things I think we need to change. And one of the things we're looking to shift is to sort of have, in a scenario like this, have other men in the room step up and go, hey, dude, whoa, 2023, not cool. How can women feel safe? Because it's not quite there yet. There are a lot of men that still mistreat women. But if women can't feel safe, it's just not fair. But how can a woman feel safe, do you feel? Is there a way to feel more safe and hence hopefully can open more, and then, some of these good things you've talked about today can happen?
That's a tricky question, because safety first is also a perception.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Very, very much of how I feel safe comes from what I perceive, from my experiences, from my past life, from what I've heard. So safety is very much a perception. And also there are those men that prove that some men are evil. Yeah. And doesn't help. You and I talked a little bit about this before, and thank God. And I keep diving into the statistics, and they're very broad. You got stats from their 1% to all the way to 16% of men are abusive, potentially rapist. Let's talk about sexual assault, because it's one of the ones that comes up all the time. Though domestic abuse is huge, huge. That kind of abuse is huge. So when you have 1 to 16%, and the 16% was a percentage from, if I recall, I think it was a study that Iowa University did with some students, and they asked them if they had ever raped or abused a woman, and about 16% of them said that they had.
Okay.
Which is astonishing. It's huge.
Yeah.
Now the stats of serial offenders, and it's anywhere from 3 to 6% of men who commit these horrible, horrendous abuses. Now, those men commit hundreds sometimes of abuse. So you have 100 women impacted by one man. Right?
Yeah.
Harvey Weinstein, famous.
Yeah. Sure.
They say 80, but those are probably the ones that came out, but add another 80 to that, or even, I don't know. So it's way over 100, right? Yeah. So he affected the lives of 100 women, one man.
Yeah.
So you have us women saying that all men are abusers. And because and probably they're going to say, I don't say all men. Yes, when we say men, we're saying all men.
Yeah.
Men are abusers, men are this, men are that. No. The worst case scenario, 16% of men.
Yeah.
It's the worst statistic that I have found yet in all these years of researching. My guess is it's anywhere from 6 to 10, probably the number. So only 10% of men are sort of sprinkling the whole men population. And we are buying into it. That's going to make us fearful, because if you feel every man on the planet is out to get you, is out to abuse you, is out to hurt you, you can't walk down the street and feel safe.
No.
So how can women feel safe? First, know the stats.
Yeah.
Know that not all men are like that. 2, of course, you can take precautions. You're not walking the streets alone. You're not doing this. When you feel something, because we feel something.
Yep.
When you feel something about a person, trust that what you're feeling is right.
Yeah. Trust it.
Go to the feminine. That's the feminine. The feminine is going to go like, hello, something is up here. And if I'm feeling that, it's probably right. Trust it.
Nice.
So that's another way to feel safe. Trust your instincts. But we're so much in our masculine that we block that side of us.
Yeah, listening to your intuition is really important. I've had several women friends tell me like they kind of knew when they had a problem, and they knew, but they didn't want to. They also like, well, I didn't want to cause trouble, and I didn't want to and it's like, no, cause fucking trouble. Like if your intuition goes off, no, get the hell out of there, or call the cops, or do
much
something.
more fucking trouble.
Exactly. Trouble's coming. Yeah. Cool. Manny, I'll pass it over to you. Have you got one? I've got a couple left, and we'll bring things to a close. Been incredible. Nana, honestly.
Nana,
Yeah.
literally, I'm sorry.
Unbelievable.
I could keep talking to you this for a very long time. So I'm happy there's a time frame that eventually has to stop, or else we're going to keep you there forever. But I was wondering, just changing topics here a bit. But what is conscious dating to you?
Wow.
We're going on a big one. I like it.
I haven't even heard that term, but I like it. Conscious dating. Wow. Well, I guess the word conscious gives a big hint as to what that may be. If I have to say, what would a conscious date look for me? Is a date where I know exactly how I'm feeling, what I am feeling. I am open for the other person to know what that is. Like, for example, if I'm nervous, right?
Yep.
Why not say I'm nervous? It's a first date. Maybe we don't know each other. Everybody gets nervous. Oh, but we want to hide it. We want to, oh, I'm so strong. I'm in control. No, I'm not in freaking control. I'm scared to death. It's like for me now, like dating, it's like, oh my God, I feel like a teenager again. It's like, I have to do this all over again. Holy smokes. So it's nerve-wracking, right? So being conscious of what you're feeling and allowing it to show up. Conscious dating, also being conscious about the other person. If I feel something from them, like if I feel they are feeling something is uncomfortable for them, something is making them nervous, maybe I can ask. Yeah. I said this. Did that bother you? There was a little something that I saw there. Am I right? Or like allowing the other person to speak their mind as well. Being clear on, why am I dating? What am I looking for? Is it only sex? Valid. No, nothing against that, but be clear. Okay. I am just want sex. I just want and allow myself to be there. No, I want a long-term relationship. I want to be conscious about that, because that also is going to make the date easier. Like if I'm looking for something and you're not looking for that, the date is over.
Is over.
It's
love
like
it.
so
Cool.
so I love that word. Is just being it's being conscious, being aware,
Yeah.
and being responsible.
So I got two last things for you. One for women, more for women, and one more for men to wrap today, which has been, honestly, it's been an honor. It's been amazing. Question for you. I feel like a lot of women would say, I've worked so hard to get here. I've pushed myself through my career. And I've heard a lot of women say that, like, I've seen women that say they want to date, but they're like not available for a relationship. Actually, they're like really career, which is up to them. But how would you say a woman could you briefly describe what you think of how a woman could kind of manage her success and keep it rolling, yet embrace her feminine more in relationship?
Okay, so that is the first thing that we have to stop thinking, that this feminine and masculine traits, the yin and the yang, live in different places.
Exactly. Yeah. Love that. Yeah.
Okay.
Love
So
it.
because the premise is, and this is where my vision comes into place, because my vision is that we use both energies in equal proportions, or at least where it's needed, at all times.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you're a woman who is balanced, who is using her masculine and her feminine energy, you are doing that at work also.
Yeah. Love it.
And you're doing it at home now. And this is the tricky part. This is a balance, right? This is not an absolute. You're not always here or always there.
Yeah.
Right? We're flipping. It's like electricity, like the things, like the computers, right? The ons and the offs, the ones and the zeros. They're going all the time. It's like, depending on what's happening, you go boop, 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 this, right?
Yeah.
We should be the same. Now that takes a lot of awareness. In this moment, what do I need? What do I require to be at ease?
To be the person I want to be, or be the person I want to be.
The person I want to be, to be fulfilled, to be happy. Do I need to be in my masculine because I have to solve a problem? Go for it.
Problem. Yeah.
But if I'm with my partner, and here is where biology, and we haven't even touched on that. That could be a
next
whole
podcast. Yeah, that's our next one. Yeah.
That's where biology, role, and energy beautifully connect, because we can't separate them in the sense that I can't ignore that I'm in the body of a woman. I can't ignore that I need more estrogen than you. Yeah. I do need testosterone, 100%. I do. I need testosterone for my sex drive. I need testosterone for my go-getting, for all of that. But I need more estrogen than testosterone. You guys are reversed, though that is a big crisis today. What's happening with testosterone worldwide?
Yeah.
And in America is horrible, horrendous.
Yeah.
So just knowing, right? If I'm with my partner, do I need to be solving a problem or go-getting, or I just need to relax in this moment
and receive, and receive.
And allow him or her to give me, and just what do I have to do? Be. I love that word.
I love it. Closing question for you. So our audience probably is going to be a little bit more comprised of men. With our tagline is a bit like exploring healthy masculinity, I would say.
I got to talk about that with you. Okay.
Okay, cool. We're going
to in this one really quick.
Okay,
go.
Yeah. Okay. But my question would be, what would your message be to men from a woman who has kind of, pinged and ponged between her masculine and her feminine and has had these revelations, as men who are looking to become better men or more healthy men? What would your quick message to men be as we look to sort of wrap it up? What would you say to our men? What would you say?
Defend your masculinity at all costs.
Wow, I'm almost going to cry.
And when and this is going to segue into what I wanted to ask you or talk about real quick too.
Sure.
Because the more you are in your masculine, the more you feel good with yourself. You feel that you are who you need to be the best version of you, though that sometimes I struggle with that phrase because it's too cliche. But when you feel that you are whole, like you're being the man that you can be, it's going to impact us or me inevitably. So you have to do it not only for yourself, but if you want to really, truly make your woman happy, you have to be in your masculine when it's needed. Yeah. I'm not saying that you're not going to be vulnerable and that you can't open up. Of course. That is great. And you need to do it as well. And we have a new world which needs that. But defend your masculinity.
But don't lose it. Yeah. I can't thank you enough for that quote. I really can't. It's unbelievably important. And as someone who has played in both realms and gone way into my feminine and way into my masculine, I would say when I step up and do the right thing and I take care of what needs to be taken care of as a more masculine man, my life changes completely. The way I feel changes, my mood changes. Such an amazing quote. Thank you.
And that is what I tell my ladies too. And we both have to understand this. I am learning still on the biology sides of things because there's a huge study out there being done on these differences in our bodies and our hormones and how they influence us. But this is ancient knowledge. Like we don't need a blood test to know how we feel. Yeah. I can tell you exactly how my blood is going to look or how my hormones are going to look by how I feel.
I love it.
It's incredible. So if you're aware and you feel it, you feel, I'm not in my masculine. There's something up here that's not right. Same for the woman the other way. So for men, defend your masculinity. 2, learn about this. Open up yourself to learn about the differences. We are different.
Yes.
We are not the same. And the way you speak to a man is not the same way you should speak to a woman for her to understand. And the same for ladies. We can't expect you guys to understand us 100% because we're different. So we got to compromise. And that's where the collaboration comes, right? The compromise. It's like, I speak too much. You speak too little. Let's meet in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Right. Yeah. So, and I wanted to talk about really quick about toxic masculinity and toxic femininity or whatever. And I wanted to ask you, because this is a topic that you guys talk about a lot. And I don't like the phrase. I don't like those.
Oh, words. I hate it too.
Yeah. I don't like that definition.
Hate it.
So you tell me a little bit about your definition of toxic masculinity versus masculinity.
Yeah. Or healthy masculinity. Sure. Yeah, I think that's a great question. So toxic masculinity is really defined by living in the lower conscious state of abuse, rage, control, all those types of that sphere of things. And what we've seen is it's really when men hurt the world. I think that's the easiest way to define it. Toxic masculinity is when men hurt the world. Okay. And we know a lot of these men have been hurt and they're just carrying on a pattern. Family pattern, intergenerational pattern, keep going. And some of them are sick as well, obviously. When it comes to healthy masculinity, and you're leading into one of our topics, I do have my own vision as well of some of the work that I've done. But in essence, to me, it's in the higher parts of masculinity. It's a man who, first of all, balances his masculine and feminine and knows about it. A man in integrity, a man who gives off that caring father energy, a man who does have a vision and a purpose in his life, a man who knows how to get his needs met. Those are healthy masculine traits that we're looking to work with men. And in the future, I'm sure, I am looking to hold retreats and I'm looking to do education around that as well. How can men step up in the world and do the right thing? So
Okay.
that's my definition.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So here's the thing for me, and I don't have an answer. I'm learning about this, but I don't like the term toxic masculinity or toxic femininity.
Yeah.
As I wouldn't like toxic love. And I'm going to explain what I mean.
Sure.
If a man is hurting someone else, if he is abusive, if he is aggressive,
Violent, sure. Yeah.
violent, he's not being masculine. He's not using masculine energy.
Good point.
So why call it toxic masculinity? Because here's my problem with that. You're tinting the word masculinity with something negative.
100%.
And I rather disconnect that. You're either in your masculine or you're not.
Sorry to interrupt. What about the term lost masculinity? What you've been describing, it sounds a little bit like it's lost masculinity.
Yes, I like that better. I could look at that instead of toxic masculinity, because ultimately I am in my feminine or I am not.
Yeah.
Because that toxic femininity, with the feminism, well, to me, that's not femininity.
No,
to me,
it's
that's
not.
not feminine energy. Feminine energy is in a flow. Feminine energy is open. It's connection. It's beautiful. So there is no toxic that. It's like, you're either love or you don't love.
Yeah. I love that. Man, you're blowing my mind. I never considered it this way before. And
I didn't either.
This is amazing. Like, this is really something. And I think, to be honest, like, Nana, I'll say, like, we've got to have you back. Somehow I'm going to twist your arms and hope that you will come back. But this is a really great point. And Manny, what's your take on this last little piece? Because we've never discussed it this way. What do you think, man?
Can you hear me actually?
We're good now. Yeah, we're good.
Perfect. I really liked what Nana said at the beginning. And I'm just coming back here to toxic masculinity for a second, because I like the stats that you brought there, Nana, the 3%, the 6%, the 16%, that we've attributed all men to fall into that category. I think that's part of what we're currently defined as toxic. But there's also, I think, super important traits of our masculine side, like our side of competition. I would say healthy competition, because I think competing, there's a way of competing that can be great, that can make you pull out the best of you, that I would say is a masculine trait that we've tried to suppress, and saying, it's not good. There's a lot of things there that we're trying to portray as being bad. And I think that's getting us away from, as you mentioned, and I totally agree, away from our feeling like us, feeling like I contribute, feeling like I feel like myself. And so yeah, I think I agree. I think toxic masculinity should not be a term that we should use. Probably we should maybe change that term and use, David, you went with lost masculinity. Maybe we can redefine all that term together and collaboratively find a way to find that masculinity that we all, I think, need and thrive, and all that femininity that we all also need, for us to collaborate. I think this is where I'd like to go.
Sorry, Manny. What I love is that we're ending on the term that is so important that Nana started us with, which is it. If you think about how it feels to collaborate and be part of a team, and then you think of what it's like to be at war, there's no fucking contest. It's no contest. And we should stop being at war as best we can, and instead bring collaboration. And one of the biggest things we don't do well is really, truly listen I'm guilty of it for sure. We are prepared to defend ourselves. But anyway, Nana, I cannot thank you enough. This was insane. I'm so happy that we had you here. You're a bright light. What you're doing is so important. And you know that. I know that from talking to you. This is not our last chat, and by a long shot. I can't wait to get to LA so we can hang out and do some work together as well. But
Yes.
Massive thank you from the BWM family, and you, just a bright light. Thank you so much, Manny, brother. Thank you, and thanks everyone. Look forward to receiving your comments on this incredible episode. And this was Breakfast with Manny with our special guest Nana Ponceleon. Nana, huge thanks.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I can't wait until we see it again.
Awesome. Sounds great. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Good night and goodbye. And we'll be in touch.